And hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. A couple things I want to talk about today. You know, it's not like I don't have my own psyops and personal dramas going on, but I want to mention the other one going on today in Chicago. And so I don't know if you guys have been following the story. I know it's kind of hard to get into it. Once you get passed over a few humps, you're okay. You've probably seen blurbs in the news about Selena Gomez and her organ transplant. And then you saw on the news about a young teenage girl, 19-year-old Kenneka Jenkins, stumbling through a hotel. This is the narrative. Stumbling through a hotel drunk and finding her way into a freezer where she couldn't get out and froze to death. And that's what they want you to believe. And so, frankly, I didn't pay much attention to it. And, you know, you run into a lot of huff and puff, and people are upset in Chicago, and you're thinking, what are these kids upset about? What's going on? And so I started looking into this Kenneka Jenkins story, and wow, you know. Yeah, it is amazing, but I'm going to put some pieces of the puzzle together. One of the things that's so hard for anybody else to really embrace is because these kids, I mean, they're geniuses, but they come out with these videos and they can't speak a coherent sentence. You can't understand them. And so you try to find somebody who speaks English that was close to the whole story and knows what's going on. And so that's what the Lord did. He led me to somebody who speaks English, and I could understand him, and he just laid it out perfectly. And this kid is like 17 or 18, and this kid's a Christian, and he's just a genius. And so if you want to know the rundown on what's going on with Kenneka Jenkins, go to YouTube and look up Chosen King, because I really enjoyed his series. He just laid it out for anybody and the dummies like me who just can't understand anything but normal English. But there's a lot of things about this story, and I have spent probably days on end looking at videos. You start watching one and you just get hooked. And then you start really liking these people. It's funny. You know, I'm almost 52 years old, so I you know, the city thing isn't my thing, but, you know, your heart goes out to this girl. It really does. But there's a couple of oddities about the whole thing. And so that's what I'm going to bring up, because that's my thing. Finding oddities and bringing them up. That's what I do. Something that's interesting about the whole thing is that she was groomed for this. Kenneka Jenkins, if you look at this child, she has, as soon as I say this, you're all just going to be like, okay, here we go. She has a butterfly tattoo on her stomach. She also has Eastern Star tattoos on her back. And so, yes, she comes from a Masonry and Eastern Star family, and which is very well connected into the Chicago elite scene. And so you know where this is going already. Her stepdad, who has been staying out of the limelight, not her stepdad, but the man who her mom is seeing, her boyfriend, kind of acts more like her handler. And he's just a real creepy-looking dude. And you ask all these kids, and you watch their videos, and they all talk about how creepy he is. And you can tell by looking at him, he's ranked somewhere along the Masons out there. Everybody is. I mean, if you want to be anybody in Chicago, and certainly want to have any kind of a job that makes money, you've got to join the Masonry ranks out there. And another thing about Chicago is they run all the gangs. And so there was clearly a gang involved with Kenneka's murder. And I'll get into that one too. But the murder took place at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont, Chicago. And the first thing you see when you look at the Crown Plaza Hotel sign is right beside the words is a symbol. And the symbol is 666. It's the Hebrew letter for 6 upside down, and I was looking at it like, that's 666. Yeah, some people might think it looks like lightning bolts. I thought it looked like 666 sideways. And certainly fitting, because this area has a long history of organ trafficking. And they just go on and on about how this area has a history of missing people found with missing body parts, and how this hotel has always been involved with it. And you're like, what? Why hasn't anybody burned this place to the ground? Apparently, it's the pride of Chicago. It's like you're opening up Pandora's box in Chicago, just getting involved with the story. Because if you thought Chicago was a slime pit, this isn't going to persuade you any differently. This is worse than New York. And so, the mother, very involved. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there, oh, the mother loved her child. No, she didn't. She didn't cry one tear for her child. When you see all of her interviews, they're just, no tears. Not one tear. Not one tear. She has on pyramid earrings. She has on the blonde hair. I learned something new from these kids. They know more about the occult than us adults do. When you shave your head and you have the blonde hair, and we've seen everybody do it. Chris Brown, basketball players, celebrities, Kanye West, they come out with the blonde hair. That is code. That is a signal to everybody in the higher up elites that the deed was done, the sacrifice was made, whatever that means. And in this case, it means the death of Kenneka, or that she sacrificed her daughter so that Selena Gomez could continue on her facade as a clone and a vampire. Recently, Selena Gomez had a kidney transplant in Chicago. What a surprise. It was the same week Kenneka Jenkins was found in a freezer. And so, yeah, it's connected. And this whole thing is just crazy. There's a whole cast of characters involved with this thing. And if you want to learn some inner workings of the CIA, just start watching the videos of these kids' tapes. I mean, it's crazy, but the whole thing was a CIA operation. I don't know how it gets any more Illuminati than this, and it's like watching a psyop unfold on a bunch of amateur cameras who have no idea what they're looking at. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm looking at some of these agents. You're getting a lot of training just watching these people. Because I was already onto the skies thing of taking baseball hats and different colored shirts so you can change clothes quickly and stuff like that. And the two of the girls in the forefront were the girls that were supposedly Kenneka's friends, and the one is Irene and the other one is Monifa, and it was Monifa who lured Kenneka to the hotel to be killed, ritually sacrificed. Now, this whole thing obviously breaks down into nice Illuminati numbers for the occultists. Let's see, I wrote it down. Room number 926 on the 9th floor. The 666 symbol on the building. Then you had, she was 19 years old. All these revert into sixes. You just turn a 9 upside down and you get 6. The death was written at 12:48 a.m., which is another 6. And they just threw that in because, these newspapers never have accurate numbers and reportings on anything. And when they do write something down, it's usually a code for, like, the numbers, whatever the PSYOP's going for. And so the biggest number on this is the 6, the 9s, and also the fact that she died on the 6th, and they're trying to push it off and say she died on the 9th. When Teresa Jenkins called 911, when she made her little drama phone call, because I don't think she was that worried about her, it was for show. She stated to the police officer that answered the call that what happened. Her daughter said that her and her friends were going out bowling and to movies, and her friends brought the car back home the next day, but said they couldn't find Kenneka. And she said that there was a ticket in the car for the Crowne Plaza Hotel. They must get parking lot stamps, tickets, maybe parking garage or something. But she knew she had been at the Crowne Plaza Hotel, and the date was August 6th. So that kind of blows out the water of their little timeline that she was there on the 8th and then discovered on the 9th, because she was there on the 6th. I don't know why anybody doesn't push that one any further, because when I heard that 911 call, I was like, she was there on the 6th. That's 3 days before they're saying. So the party was on the 6th, and apparently it was this Irene's party, her birthday party. And this Irene decided to live this party over Facebook. They had Facebook Live, and so she had, throughout the entire party, she has her camera out, her phone out, and she's shooting this party live. And she wore these huge mirror sunglasses so that you could look into her glasses and see what's going on across the room. Now, I thought that was pretty ingenious. I keep looking at these glasses because not only are they mirror glasses, but the nature of me is thinking, I wonder if these are those spy glasses where there's a little recorder. I'm convinced they are. I don't have any proof they are. But I kept looking at these glasses, looking for any strange inner workings, markings on them for those spy glasses with recorders. I know they have them. I've seen them. And I'm pretty sure I saw enough in hers that would convince me I might be right. But that was her whole assignment, was to record Kenneka's death. And she did it on her glasses. And she overlaid it in the live videos. It kind of takes imagination to look at it. Sometimes you can see Kenneka, and other times you're like, is that her? What are they saying? Is that her talking? You really have to bend for some of it. But I thought that was ingenious, because that was her role. And you know, when you look at this girl for 3 days like I have, you're thinking, that's not an Irene. That's like a Ian, you know, because this is definitely a tranny. This girl's not a girl. This is a tranny. And another thing with that, Monifa, her Kenneka's best friend, total tranny. Both of those girls, total trannies. And that's never come out anywhere in these stories. But both of those girls are clearly boys dressing as girls. One of my pet peeves. I don't judge people, but it's a pet peeve of mine when we're lied to. You know, at least tell people, hey, I'm a transgender. Hey, I'm really a guy. I don't like this trickery stuff. That's fraud to me. But anyway, interestingly enough, this Crown Plaza Hotel, and you know how the Illuminati are with their blood sacrifices and christening stuff. Bill Murray's family is in the deals right now that they are building this 11,000 square foot Caddyshack type restaurant inside this worm-infested Crown Plaza Hotel, where it's like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you probably won't check back out. It's that bad. There was several people died the weekend Kenneka did, but hers is the one getting all the mainstream press because she's young. So imagine this: Bill Murray putting a big restaurant inside this hotel known for prostitution and organ trafficking. And the freezer he'll be using for his restaurant is the one that they found Kenneka's body in. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's a coincidence. And so, the coincidences just keep piling on. There was an entire cast of characters involved with this, and this is one of the most insane things I've ever seen them do. Maybe because we're just getting smart now and we're learning how they do things. And I'm slow, like I said. If they're doing something for 100 years, I'll catch on. I'm slow. But this is crazy. I don't even, you know. Okay, this is what they did. That was never Kenneka Jenkins walking through the hallway drunk. First of all, when I watched 1 or 2 videos, I was screaming, that's not her, that's not her, that's a fake. And I'm screaming at my computer, and I'm watching all these videos and screaming, and that's when I finally stumbled on Chosen King, because he was saying the same things I was saying. And so I liked his series he has out, because that was not Kenneka walking through the hallways. That was a fake. That was a lookalike. It wasn't even a lookalike. She was 60 pounds heavier than the original Kenneka. And yet, Coroner even put that in his report for Kenneka. He said she was 159 pounds. This girl was a mouse. She was like 90, 100 pounds. She was a small, petite girl. And he put the lookalike's weight on his coroner report for her. I thought that was crazy. And the coroner, Frank Markle, is the guy who owns a blog online for organ and tissue donations. He's a big organ guy. How would you like to have that as your coroner? Coincidence? No. And the hotel doesn't release any photos of the police investigation of what went on in the basement. All they show is the coroner there signing off some personal effects that Kenneka had on her body and giving that to the police. One of the things was Kenneka's watch. And someone was saying it was the other one's watch, Monifo, but I also saw a different picture, and Kenneka had that watch on. She was standing under a door with the numbers equaling 9/11. So people are calling her the 9/11 blood sacrifice. She had this big watch on. It looks like a man's watch. It really does. It's kind of big for a girl's. And inside of it is the Eye of Horus and a heart. In other words, I love Lucifer. It's basically what it is. And she's tangled up in this Illuminati world already. She was set up to be a sacrifice because your body is the temple. It's a temple. Now, who you dedicate your body to is who you serve. Our bodies are the temple of the Lord. We're living temples for the Lord. These people are living temples for Satan. And so that's why they mark it up in these demonic tattoos and things like a butterfly to indicate your MK Ultra and 5-pointed stars, which indicate Eastern Star. She's grown up in the occultic world. You ever look at these gang kids? Because they're not dumb. You know what? We might think of these kids that can't speak English. They live in the hood. That's a gang life. But some of these kids are really smart. They're smart. They're good with tech. They're street smart. They're knowledge smart. We give credit where it's due. And you run into this when you start watching these videos, listen to these people. They're not dumb. So I was really impressed, really amazed by a lot of things. But it's also how much the occult evades these cities. I mean, it's just all over these cities. It's gang life. It's business life. They just dominate and conquer the cities with the satanic garbage. I thought this was funny, and I learned this from one of the kids. Now, Osiris, you've heard the story of Osiris and Horus and Isis. Osiris represents the obelisk. The obelisk represents Osiris. And the obelisk is the penis. This is in occult mythology, whatever. Isis always represents the vagina, and she's the wreath in Christmas decorations. She's the wreath, represented for Isis. Horus, the Eye of Horus, is actually the butthole. So when people are putting that circle above their eye, that round circle, they're representing and symbolizing the butthole of Satan. I think that's hilarious. I've never heard that before, but it's a funny one. You learn a lot of stuff. Another thing was that at Kenneka's funeral, the color code was purple. And they're saying it's because it was Kenneka's favorite color, but none of Kenneka's pictures do you ever see her wearing purple. The purple is code is sacrifice code. And so the color for this, that's why everybody was dressed in purple and had the purple headbands on. Because I want everybody to know, in the know, that the death was a sacrifice, an Illuminati sacrifice, a ritual death. And so they all wore the purple. I mean, she was out there. This mother wanted all those higher-ups to know that this was a ritual sacrifice, that she was sacrificing her daughter. And she was so arrogant. I was watching this one video of her, and they're having all these protests in Chicago because they want justice for Kenneka. There's a lot of people who just fell in love with this girl and want to see justice for her, even if her own mother doesn't. And her mother has been pretending to be involved with these protests and behind them. But they got a video of her in a parking garage when she's walking back to her car with a bunch of her friends, a group of them, and they're all laughing and carrying on. It's like, okay, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll all go bowling after the protest, and they all start laughing. And now she's even just trying to call off the protest under the guise of she doesn't want anybody getting hurt because they don't want her to protest. She's already taken the payoff money for the sacrifice. She made good money for that. I don't know how much, but she had one video where she was stating when she's rich, when she gets rich, that she was going to be rich fairly soon. And so she got money for this because I guess the organ, if not just the money for the rituals and maybe doing Bill Murray a favor by christening his restaurant with the blood ritual death in his kitchen, organ transplants go for you can get $1 million for a body. I mean, when you break down all the organs they can take, and especially because Kenneka was so young and she wasn't drunk and she didn't do drugs, so she was fairly healthy. And so she probably got top dime for her organs. And her mother had signed her over to the organ vampires, this coroner, Frank Markle, Chicago, who was all smiles in the kitchen waiting for her to show up, because they did show that on camera when the mother showed up to view the body. And she stood 20 feet away from her, didn't go up to her and touch her, or one last touch, one last hug, one last kiss, nothing. No emotion at all. Didn't even break down and cry. My face would have been planted in the concrete, and they would have had to pry my cold dead hands off my kid if that was my kid. This woman had no emotion. And then she walked over to the freezer, and they don't even show what she did. She probably didn't even look. It was kind of out of camera. And then she left. No emotion. But the whole freezer scenario was crazy too, because they found her friend's stuff in there. The one girl's ponytail holder, grungy thing. They found that in the freezer behind her body. They found Monifa's lip gloss in the freezer. Her one shoe was off in the corner of the freezer. It looked like somebody just threw it in the freezer. Her body, I could go into this whole scenario forever about the pictures they took. Her body had stains on it. The freezer had been turned off. It was warm in there. And so there's so many intricacies with organ removal and the body itself, because the body has to be alive to remove organs, okay? I mean, that's what I've always heard. Unless you guys have heard they've changed the science, I've always heard for any kind of organ removal, the body has to be alive. And so this was obviously pre-planned well in advance, because 4 months ago, her mother had met with Selena Gomez. Then the week of her death, Selena Gomez happened to be in Chicago. What coincidences. So this has been planned for a while, that she would give her daughter's kidney to Selena Gomez. And who knows what else she sold the organs to. She could just give them to the organ trafficker, Mark Hell. But anyway, I'm out of time now. I can't even get into the freezer nightmare. But this is a rundown of the case. I just wanted to give you my heads up on it. Maybe I'll get back into it Friday, since it seems to be pretty fascinating. And yeah, I think I'll get back into it Friday. But that's just a little summary of it now for you, for those who are interested, and probably will be now that I've mentioned it. But anyway, folks, nothing new on the pole flip. Have not heard anything. People are asking what's going on with the pole flip. All I know is that it can go at any time. So I'm sure Father will let us know. He's not going to do anything until the elect are gone anyway. Anyway, folks, be back on Friday. Till then, God bless.